Welcome to the SAG-AFTRA Foundation's Conversations at Home program. I'm Stacy Lambe from Entertainment Tonight. Before we are joined by our guests today, I want to let you know that the SAG-AFTRA Foundation is a nonprofit organization that relies entirely on donations to provide emergency assistance and free educational programs to SAG-AFTRA artists. This conversation is made possible thanks to the generosity of our supporters. Over the past year, the foundation has given over $6.5 million in COVID relief to more than 7,000 performers. If you are a SAG-AFTRA artist and need help, please ask. And if you can help, please give. Information can be found in the description of this video. Thank you for your support. Now, without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce MJ Rodriguez from Pose.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well today. The energy is up, the sun is out, I'm excited.
Well, I wanted to start our conversation off with, what it has meant to you to be a part of the SAG-AFTRA organization, and, maybe if there's any example of how they've helped you early on in your career.
Well, I mean, one, being a part of the SAG-AFTRA Foundation just helped me with my career and just my circumstances as far as being an actress, a hardworking actress. When I was, I would say 21, I was not nowhere near the place I was. I was a kid trying to find my way, didn't have a steady, acting job, steady career job. And I feel like the SAG Foundation itself just made me feel safe and feel comfortable, and felt like, something was going to happen and that they were right behind me when it was happening. So I just would encourage anyone, make sure you keep on fighting the good fight, and SAG is going to always be there for you.
Excellent. One of the first questions I wanted to start with today before we get into all things Pose and, the final season, is just to kind of zoom out a little bit and I wanted to know what drives your passion for acting and what has made you want to be a performer from the beginning?
What drives my performance as far as acting is just the way stories can be conveyed on a television screen and really influence people around the world. We got an opportunity to be a part of such a huge show, and even though we had so many different types of stories in them, they were all different and they all really related to different types of people around the world. So I think that's what drove my acting. And I've been acting for a long time, but obviously this is my first big opportunity. So it also gave me a space to be in the world of people who are just like me and who are artsy fartsy, and we love doing what we do, and I get to share that with other people. So I think that was the driving force. And when it comes to performing, I think that was always embedded in me. I was immersed in both acting and music, so those together, I had to have some kind of way to make sure that people were feeling good outside of that, and performing was one of them. I had to make sure I had that. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned music because, with In the Heights now in theaters, I was thinking about your audition for Hamilton that made headlines so many years back. And I know you also just recently released a new song, Something to Say. And I was just curious, with that in mind, was your goal always to appear on screen, or did you ever think of yourself as a singer first or a theater star first?
Believe it or not, I always saw myself as a singer first. I saw myself as this pop icon, superstar, and now I feel like it's happening, which I'm very happy with because I've strived for it for so long. But my goal and my passion was artistry in general, and it definitely had heavy influences in the music realm. And I knew that was one of the most powerful tools alongside acting, but one of the most powerful tools to convey love, soul, peace, harmony, and joy. And I'm just happy that the world of acting came the way it did to me, because I was trained in it as well. I went to a performing arts school, so this was also a passion of mine. I was like, okay, these two go well together. Why not? And then I'm on a show where I'm singing and acting at the same time. It was just a dream. But yeah, my whole goal was to become a superstar singer, and I feel like it's actually kind of happening. Something to Say is out, and I'm like, oh my God, people are hearing Michaela J. They got to see MJ, the actress, the serious actress. They got to see the person who delves into a character and really works and builds. And then they get to see Michaela J., the person behind MJ, the person who is personable and edgy and, she likes to be a little sexy and, it's just, it's all those things.
How does it feel to release your official debut single, Something to Say? And what are you most excited for audiences to get out of hearing the song and your experience, your musical side?
It means a lot to release a song in this time, it being around Pride, and so many things have happened in the last year of 2020, injustice, COVID-19. I thought it was extremely important for a song like Something to Say to come out at this point. The show beautifully closed. It closed beautifully in a third season. And not only did I want to have a song that spoke to the world and letting us know that we're more alike than we actually realize, but also for people to get a glimpse into the chapter of Michaela J and see where she's going to go and see what she has to say, because Michaela J definitely got something to say. And just to constantly influence love, hope, joy, inspiration through music. Music is one of the most powerful tools in the universe. It moves you, it captivates you, it invokes feelings out of you, it heals you. And that's what I know I'm capable of is healing through artistry, specifically music. So I'm so happy I'm releasing this song, and I just hope everybody out there download it when you can, tap that button, go on YouTube, go on Spotify, and just love up on that song. I promise you it will lift you up. I promise you. I'm talking a lot. Forgive me, y'all.
No, this is great. And I mean, I think one of the things I've loved about your career so far too is because I first saw you on screen in Saturday Church, which is just such a wonderful movie. And, between Saturday Church and Pose, we've gotten to see the mixture of not only your amazing acting talents, but your music talents. And it's been nice to see both of those kind of merge together in this way that I think is very unique to your career so far and the stories you've been able to tell. And, kind of thinking about Saturday Church as kind of, I guess your first major movie or first time, I guess, in that kind of setting. When you look at where you're at now as a performer, what do you think about the days of being on Saturday Church, or even just the first couple of days on the set of Pose season 1? And how have you grown since then?
Ooh, well, I mean, the moments I look back on those days are very often, they never slip my mind, because those were literally the budding moments for my growth, for the flower to really become a true tulip or a true lily. I was just a little bud at that moment, and I was learning so much and was just a sponge soaking everything up. And the sponge is not full yet. She's still soaking up, there's always space to learn. But I feel like the growth from then and now is tremendous. I was young, I was starry-eyed, and I was just looking to see if somebody would see me and see my community and just see that we have heart and we have soul. And, to really convey that through these characters was a dream. And then to see the beautiful length of that expanded out into a third season of Pose, and how we tied the knots so beautifully, how we crossed the T's and dotted those I's, honey, and to see the women of a story like that receive everything they want. It was beautiful. It inspired me. It taught me, Blanca and Lulu and all of these characters. These were women who didn't have anything. These were women who fought when they didn't have anything. And that was what inspired me, because I had it all. I had my mama, I had the ballroom scene on top of that. I had all of these things together. And it just inspired me to look at that and see, look at what these women did without it. And you have it. So what do you have to do? You just have to keep making sure that you're the example. And,
getting more into Pose, the show has always been rooted in real life experiences, particularly of the trans community, and kind of bringing those to life on screen for so many who aren't necessarily part of that, or haven't been aware of those stories before. But in terms of playing Blanca, was creating that character inspired by anyone, or did any research influence who that character ultimately became to be, or is that also someone just very rooted in your own experiences and what we've seen from the writer's room?
I think it's a collection of all of those. I think it started out with a small piece of me. And at first I was afraid to say this in other interviews, but now I can say it. But it's not a bad thing. I had a lot of influences building Blanca and, you know, just creating the process of making sure that she was a well-rounded person. I looked, small pieces were to myself, but Angie Extravaganza, who was in Paris is Burning, she was my idea of what Blanca was, and not to mention my mother. Like, these were the collection of women that I saw in my life that I put together, I melded together, I did my research, and I just built this character up alongside with the writings on the page and what Stephen Canals wanted. And it was great. It was hard. There were times where I was just like, oh, these lines are being changed, like right on the dot. I got this though. You got this, girl. You got this. Is what you came here for. But overall, it was great. And the building tools were there, and I just used them as much as I could. I definitely pulled from my mother as much. I was like, Mommy, what you went through? Can you tell me what you went through? And blah, 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 blah. And she was like, girl, don't worry, sit down right here. Let me tell you. I was like, yes.
You know, since you are the mother of the house, you are Blanca Evangelista, does that also translate on set? Do you kind of feel like the mother of the cast, or is that kind of, you know, different roles kind of for different parts of the, whether you're filming or not filming?
You know, believe it or not, I feel like the translation between Blanca and Michaela and Jay are so different. Like, when I would step out of character, because a lot of the times we were dealing with a lot of dark and heavy scenes, and sometimes Michaela stepped out just to make everybody real happy. So I would say I was like the big sister. I was the one that was aiming to be like Blanca whenever there was another group to possibly come in, you know, like one of the two characters, the younger characters that ended in second season. That is what I was trying to gear towards. But with the original cast, very much like bigger sister, or auntie. But mother, I felt like I couldn't live up to that standard just yet, you know, which was amazing because we never conveyed that through the screen. We really made sure we did our job to make sure that people saw what motherhood looks like when it's in the community of trans women. But no, we were very much like brother and sisters on that set.
You know, and for fans, one of their favorite parts about watching this show is all the ballroom scenes, right? And seeing that energy come to life, seeing the community come together and celebrate itself and live out their fantasies and give audiences a chance to live out their fantasies through that. And I've been lucky enough to be on set for one during season 2.
That's right. Stacy, you were on set. I remember that day. I'm so sorry I cut you off. Oh my God.
No, it's okay.
It just clicked, boo. Sorry.
No, all good. Well, I guess, you know, it's one thing to watch an ensemble scene where everybody's together, everybody's performing, and it's another thing to film it. And I was curious for you, you know, what is it like to actually bring those ballroom scenes to life? And, you know, what kind of is that experience like being all in the room together, but, you know, actually having to film those versus what you're able to do off camera, you know, as a regular ball performer?
Well, I was just about to say, like, it's very different from the regular ballroom culture, ballroom scene. Obviously, when you're in the ballroom scene, it's off the fly, it's not recorded, and there's no angles that you have to like make sure are being hit right for a television audience, right? And that's what would probably maybe could have been the difficult thing. It wasn't really difficult for us because we knew what we had to do and we knew what we had to go into. But the energy was great. It was the same kind of energy that you would meet in the ballroom scene, in the ballroom culture. There were 170 individuals who were not only of the LGBTQAI community, but who were of the ballroom scene. So it was as authentic as it could get. And all of us in there together, we just fed off of each other. There were moments where it was more serious in the ballroom scene. So I had to take my moment and, you know, even though there was a lot of energy, I had to really separate myself because I had to probably meet Billy at another point if he would, like, as Craig's help was falling on the ground. And, you know, so I really had to take those moments for myself, but collectively, there was not that much of a difference. The only difference was the cameras. There was never really any cameras like that in the ballroom scene. So we really had to focus on that.
And do you have any favorite ballrooms, either for Blanca or just overall as a fan watching the series?
Oh yeah, I think one of my favorite moments was when Blanca stormed out of those two double doors in this pink ensemble. She had a boa wrap around and then a boa wrap around on the dress and had this pink headdress. And that was her most confident moment, going up against her mother, really trying to solidify herself as a house mother, a woman who was about to take reign and really have a family that she wanted to nurture and build. That was one of my favorite moments. And I'll say one last one was me and Billy, Blanca and Pretel, last episode, last season, Diana Ross yet again, just performing to that was, thinking about it now makes me want to cry. So I'm just not gonna, do that. But it was just it was liberating. And it was such a great way to end the whole series. It was such a solidifying moment for the community. So yes, that was my favorite moment.
Well,
why am I crying? Don't know.
Well, I was going to say, not to make you too more emotional, but I did actually want to ask about your relationship with Billy Porter, both as performers, but then as Blanca and Pretel, because from the very beginning, these two have been a core relationship in terms of how we got to see these stories told and how they kind of guided the rest of the cast and characters. And I was just curious, what has been working with Billy meant to you, and what has that relationship just kind of meant overall as as a professional or as an actor, someone in Hollywood?
I think our relationship stands the test of time. We've known each other for years, and finally we got to actually play opposites. Well, not even play opposites of each other. We were literally two peas in a pod on that screen, and I think it showed. And I just love having him as a co-star. I love having him as a partner. I loved being, the leading ladies, his leading man. It just felt like we were cohesively together and we were connected. And, now that it's over, I'm sorry. Now that it's over, we're all moving in different directions of our lives. And to have a moment like that where I followed him my whole life, and then to get to share the stage with him, share a space with him, for him to give me upliftment on the work that I was doing, for me to do the same for him, it's heartbreaking to know that it's coming to an end, but it's just so empowering to know that we did it together and that we really changed the face of the earth. The whole cast changed the face of the earth with this show. And I couldn't have had it any other way. When I was in my moments of insecurity and nervousness, he came with a word, and there were times that I needed it. Why am I crying? Ew.
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss it. So yeah, our chemistry, beyond.
Well, yeah. you could see it on screen in every single scene, and I think that's what makes it so special for fans to watch. And to the kind of the other sentiment, what you're saying, with a show like Pose being on the air, there's no going back. You guys changed the TV landscape forever, and I think to ignore that moving forward is going to be, there's just no way you can do that. We now have had Pose in our lives. So,
can I just tell you, I'm sorry that I never hearing it, so it builds me up. I still have work to do. Therapy is in session. But thank you, because for a long time, I didn't believe that. There are moments where I still don't believe it. So thank you.
Of course. No, you're welcome. I want to talk a little bit about kind of, obviously Stephen Canals created the show, and Ryan Murphy's been a big part of, spearheading it and making it happen. And then Janet Mock has also, been so much a part of the storytelling. And all three of them obviously have, directed episodes. And then beyond that, you've had wonderful guest directors like Tina Mabry come on and bring her vision to the show and leave a mark on the series. What's it like for you as a performer to build these relationships with these directors, especially on a show like this? And how important is it to kind of have that trust or have that relationship where you feel safe in order to then do your best and make the show come alive?
I think it's imperative and it's extremely important to have those relationships. Not only are they something that's going to carry you through your career, and you may see them again on another project, and also they have an understanding of how you work, how you get into the character, how you build and how you craft these characters. And you mentioning Tina, she was, aside from the many other amazing directors on that show, she was astounding, and she knew how to, as a director, most directors, I say, I'm not trying to give you a line reading, honey. I'm like, work, because an actress or actor, they're like, no, child. But the way she read those scripts and the way she conveyed direction, there was never a line reading. It was just simply her interpretation of what she saw, and she made it so clear that it was easy. That's why I truly believe Dominique did some of her best work in the third episode, because Tina really, really delved in and put her hands on that. But yeah, it's important because, these are people that you are entrusting your abilities with, and also possibly your insecurities as far as going and delving into something as deep as a scene like that with Electra and her mother. So it's key that you have those relationships and that they nurture those moments with you. And then going forward, you'll have them probably down the line, So yeah, I think it's key. And,
for you as a performer and playing Blanca, do you remember a note or, a moment where, something like that connected for you and it just kind of elevated your performance?
Yeah, it was first season, episode 1 or 2. And Blanca had gone into Praytel's apartment after she had received her diagnosis of HIV and AIDS. And I was very, very insecure. I was very, I was professional, but I was also closed off. It was my first big job. I had a big responsibility. I was, honey, okay, being number one on the call sheet is a huge responsibility. That's a hard responsibility. And, I went in there like I was this champ, I didn't go in there with cockiness, but I wanted to really prove myself. And Ryan he broke me down in the most beautiful way in that scene. And he just made me feel comfortable and seen. And the energy and the emotions just flowed simply because he made me feel safe. And he told me, you're okay. You're going to be just fine. Do exactly what you're doing. And at that moment, it just released. And I just felt free within that specific scene. I felt everything that I needed to feel simply from his direction. And sometimes he would only say maybe 2 or 3 words. You got this. Don't worry. And then go right back to do it just like how you did it there. And it just felt so comforting, so yeah.
And then looking at season 3 specifically, which is such an emotional roller coaster, but also just such a great closure to the series, and especially for Blanca's journey that we got to see. Is there a scene or an episode that best exemplifies what you got to do as Blanca and kind of what you look at and just really feel, seen or just shines for you?
I feel like episode 7 was that people got to see, well, first and second season, obviously people got to see the growth of Blanca. But third season, people got to see Blanca as a full-fledged, strong woman. And a woman who had received the fruits of her labor from her own self and receiving a boyfriend who could possibly be a husband, And most importantly, her biggest fruits was for her children, to see them move forward and achieve and actually live and have a future. That's what her fruits were. And when she got that, Blanca got to do what she needed to do. There's a term that a lot of people say, mama gotta have a life too. And I feel like that was Blanca's biggest fruit, is that she got the life that she wanted. And at the end of everything, with the work that she put into her kids, with the work that she put into her community, with the work that she put into the world as a whole, she got her accolade. The ballroom community gave her her flowers. And that's what I feel the girls of the community, the trans women, are always searching for, especially if they're displaced from their homes and they're displaced and they go into a community like the ballroom scene. They're always looking for that space for someone to see them. And Poets gave that opportunity to Blanca. So now so many girls out there are gonna really see what is possible. The mothers that have raised them, they're gonna receive their flowers from their kids because they're gonna look at Blanca and be like, oh my God, my mama taught me how to do that. Mommy, I love you, thank you. You know, so I think it ended beautifully. And I mean, it's so great. I mean, just even having that Sex and the City moment at the table, all of that was in episode 7, the growth of all of these women, to see that they can actually come and sit down and have a conversation and say, I'll see you later, instead of having to worry about the worries of death rates and all of those horrible things that happen to us. This showed hope. This showed what is going to happen and what the future looks like and what 2020 is going to look like too. So, yeah.
The one thing I love the way the show ended is there's this aspirational quality to it, but it doesn't feel far-fetched. It's there, it's right in reach, and we can all dream a little bit. We can all imagine having a kiki at the table with our girlfriends and a couple jokes or two about Sex and the City. You know, let's
okay. You know, a little martini don't hurt nobody. Okay.
Exactly. You know, for you, I was just curious, you know, because this is now Pose. I mean, obviously it's been longer than 3 years of your life, but you know, 3 seasons of your life. And now it's been announced you've signed on for Maya Rudolph's show and you're starting to line up other projects. And, you know, you're in this final round of, you know, kind of discussing and promoting Pose, I guess, with, you know, where we're at today. But is Blanca a character that have you said goodbye to her yet? Have you kind of put her away? Have you had that kind of moment? I don't want to make you cry again, but you know, is that something you've thought about?
I keep her on my shoulder, but I think it's getting to a point where she's like, girl, you're good. I've given you everything I needed to give you. The words on the pages, girl, they came to life like how you needed to bring them to life. Now it's time for you to go on to your next chapter. So, no, I haven't completely let her go yet. I think she's about to let me go. She's like, I feel like it's like my mom too, like, you know, and I feel like she's just pushing me slowly just to soar, flourish, and grow, constantly learn, and going into your next venture with what I've bestowed upon you, which is Pose, which is the lessons of the many trans women out there who have fought for us. So, yeah, I haven't let her go just yet, but I feel like she's like, soar, girl. So I'm gonna soar.
Well, speaking of soaring, what are you most excited about in terms of, you know, moving beyond Pose and then joining a show that you're going to be doing with like someone like Maya Rudolph and, you know, hopefully expanding as a performer? What are you most excited about kind of doing or getting to show people that things that they haven't seen already?
I'm excited for people to see my versatility. I'm excited for people to see, you know, what I've really worked for. I've been a hard worker all my life. You know, I was young in the business, but I was there and I was learning every step of the way. And I took a lot of gems with me. And with this new show, I'm going to be using some of the gems that I've had, some of the teachings that I've gotten from my acting teachers, and bring them to the table like how I know I can. And I'm so happy I get to do it with an icon who we know as Maya Rudolph. What a way to be a part of a show. I'm very, very excited. And some amazing, amazing writers who are Emmy-winning freaking writers. Like I never thought in a million years and it's happening. So people need to see the versatility and see that Michaela J has a lot to offer. She's just not a one-trick pony.
And I never really asked people this, but I do want to ask you this now, because I feel like, you and I have been on a journey talking about this show for so many seasons. And, as someone who, goes through, does junkets, does, talk to a lot of reporters, season after season, is there anything about the Pose experience that you haven't been asked or that you haven't been able to talk about that you wanted to always share, or always hoped that someone would kind of lean in and, ask you that question?
Believe it or not, I feel like everybody has asked me. Well, actually, you know what? It's the process of, I will say this. No one has asked me about the process of receiving a script and then receiving a script right on the fly, script changes right there, and then moving into it the next day, knowing that you just got it the day before, which is not a bad thing. It happens all the time. Like, that's our job. Like, we have to do that, but no one knows the work that has to be put into that. And I was a nervous wreck. There were times where I just didn't feel like I was fulfilling my role, my position, because I was just so worried if I could deliver like how I needed to deliver. And obviously that's a Capricorn thing. We perfectionists, the workaholics. But there was also pieces of me that was just like, I just want to do my job right. And I want to make sure I convey this character the way she needs to be conveyed, so that I can feel good at the end of the night, so that I can go home and go to sleep and say, okay, girl, you did your best. You did your best. But yeah, no one's asked me that, and I just had to talk about it real quick. Just real quick, though.
Well, no, I'm glad you said that, because especially like you said, being someone who's at the top of the call sheet, you feel like there's a responsibility to get it done right, and also feel like you're not wasting people's time, and also setting an example for everybody else, right?
Exactly.
So I can imagine the pressures of doing that, and then also getting to where you're at now. Then it must feel like almost in some ways like you've graduated, right? Like you've come through college or grad school, and you're now on the other side.
It's so funny you said it. I literally said that the day the last day, I was talking, I think, to India or somebody in the hair and makeup trailer, and I was like, y'all, okay, we only had 3 years, but that's enough. We graduated, y'all. We graduated. We college students now. And they were all cracking up. I'm like, it's true. Watch, you'll see. And it just, hearing you say that, it's just solidifying that, yeah, it was a great 3 years, and it just taught us so much. And yeah, it's great.
Well, I think that's the perfect note to end this conversation on. And I'm so happy that you were able to open up to us and be so candid about your journey and your experiences on the show. And, and thank you to, as someone who just got to watch you, thank you for giving all of that to us on screen and letting us be a part of your journey, be a part of Blanca's journey, and inviting us in. I think that's what the show did such a great job of, was inviting us in. And I cried so many tears throughout all 3 years, and I'm looking forward to taking a break from that for a little bit. But thank you.
Right? We need some laughter. We need some joy. We need a little movement.
Yeah, well, and they were also tears of joy too. It wasn't all sorrow, but yes. So, but yeah, thank you.
Thank you.